Morning, ma'am. Good morning.
Can you hear me? Good morning, all. Last class, we are introducing a very small topic, that is friction. Okay, and there are different types of friction. I know that friction is not a new topic to use from the lower classes itself. We study about friction, I think, from 8th standard physics. We have an idea about friction. Friction is something, a kind of force. It's an opposing force which opposes the relative motion of an object. And there are different types of friction are there. And in lower classes, we only study there are mainly two types of friction. One is rolling friction and other is sliding friction. But in this +1 physics, we are make a further classification of friction. The friction is mainly classified into static friction and kinetic friction. Again, this kinetic friction is further divided into two, that is rolling friction and sliding friction. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about kinetic friction. So before that, once again, we can recall all the topics regarding with that of the sliding friction. So before that, all of you, please switch on your videos. What do you understand by this term static friction? Malavika Prabhi.
Ma'am, it is the force that resists the initiation of a motion of an object.
Okay, Malavika, what do you mean by static friction?
Ma'am, it is the force that resists the initiation of the motion of an object. Ma'am, it is the force that resists the initiation of motion of an object over 1 nm.
Yes, it is the force, or it is the frictional force is present when one body is rest on the surface of another body. Such type of frictional force is known as static friction. Okay, and how we can represent static friction? Emmeline?
Fs.
Fs, can you say any other characteristics of static friction?
They opposes impending force, motion.
It opposes the impendent motion. Then Adulya, what do you mean by this impendent motion? Pooja, have you heard about this term impendent motions? Yes, Adulya, you can.
Motion of an object by an external.
Yes, it is the motion of an object in the presence of an external force. The motion of an object takes place only in the presence of an external force if the frictional force is absent. That type of motion is known as impendent motion, and our static friction is actually opposes the impendent motion. Okay, then another characteristics, John Joes, other characteristics of static friction.
Ma'am, it is self-adjusting.
Yes, very good. It's a self-adjusting force. Why? We call the static friction as a self-adjusting force.
Ma'am, it changes according to the force exerted on the object.
Okay, because this static friction, the value of static friction is changes according with that of the force that we are applied externally on the object. So depending upon the external force, the value of the static friction is also varies. It's tried to adjust with that of this external force that we are applied on the body. That is why we can say that static friction is also known as self-adjusting force. Okay, then Tom Sebastian, what do you mean by limiting friction?
It's a state of friction at which the static friction reaches its maximum.
Very good. If the static friction reaches a maximum value, that maximum value possessed by the static friction is known as limiting friction. Only these much points that we were discussed in the last class. Okay, regarding with that of the static friction. So now we are going to discuss laws of static friction. So after this static friction, we have to discuss mainly two laws. It's not a law, just type of a characteristics of static friction. So all of you write the next heading, laws of static friction. Laws of static friction. The first law of static friction states that the limiting value of static friction, or we can call it as the limiting static friction. The limiting static friction independent of area of contact between the two bodies. This is the first law. Okay. Limiting independent of area of contact between two bodies. Bodies means we know that the frictional force is always arises between two bodies. In the case of a static friction, one body is the surface and another body is the object which is kept in a state of rest over the surface. Okay, so limiting static friction independent of area of contact between two bodies. If it is a surface with a large surface area or with a less surface area, it's not a matter. Limiting static friction is independent of contact between two bodies. Now the second law of static friction. The maximum value of static friction. Maximum value of static friction. Maximum value of static friction directly proportional to maximum value of static friction is directly proportional to reaction force. So these are the two laws of static friction. Static friction is the when one object is in a state of rest over the surface of another object. And here, according to the static friction, we have to study two laws. The first one, limiting static friction independent of area of contact between these two bodies. And the second law, maximum value of static friction is directly proportional to reaction force. What do you mean by reaction force? Reaction force. For example, you just imagine it's a horizontal surface. We kept a body over the surface with a mass m. Right? Now we know that there are two types of forces can be exerted between these two surfaces. One is the downward force. It is due to the weight of the object. Okay. The downward force or the force which is acting vertically downwards due to the weight of the object, it is represented by mg. At the same time, another force is acting on the body on the opposite side in order to balance this object as it is without keeping in motion, in order to keep the object in a state of rest. Another force is acting on the body. That force is always acting vertically upward force, and that force is known as reaction force. Okay, so the force which is acting on an object vertically upward in order to balance the body is known as reaction force. So if and only if this reaction force and the weight of the object that is acting downwards is equal and opposite, then only we can say that the object is in a state of rest. Okay, and this reaction force is always normal to the surface of the object. Reaction force is always normal to the surface of the object. Okay, so reaction force is nothing. It is the force acting on the surface of the object. And if and only if this reaction force and that of the vertically downward force are equal and opposite, then only the object remains in a state of rest. And the direction of reaction force is always normal to the surface of the object. All these points are clear? Okay. So according to our second law, the maximum static friction. So static friction is represented by Fs. Maximum value of static friction means Fs maximum is directly proportional to what? It is directly proportional to reaction force. And the reaction force is the force which is acting vertically upward direction, and it is normal to the surface. So we can represent this reaction force using the letter N, because reaction force is a normal force. It is a force acting normal to the surface. So the reaction force is represented by the letter N. According to the second law, we can write the maximum value of static friction is directly proportional to N, normal force, or it is the reaction force. Reaction force and normal force both are same, which is acting vertically upward direction in order to balance the object. And we know that in the physics, not only in physics, mathematics also, we have a tendency to replace this proportionality sign. So here we are going to replace this proportionality sign. Fs maximum is equal to mu s. This symbol is known as mu. Mu s n. Mu. M-E-W. We can pronounce this mu. Not nu, it is mu. M-E-W. So Fs maximum is equal to mu s n, where this mu s is the constant of proportionality and it is known as coefficient of static friction. Okay. So here we discuss about the two laws of static friction. According to first law, the limiting static friction independent of area of contact. According to our second law, maximum value of static friction is directly proportional to the reaction force. So we think about what do you mean by reaction force. Reaction force is also known as normal force. It is the force which is acting on an object in vertically upward direction in order to balance the object. So according to second law, we can write Fs maximum is directly proportional to reaction force. Reaction force is represented by letter N because it is a force acting normal to the surface of the object. So Fs maximum is proportional to N. In order to replace this proportionality sign, here we introduce a constant mu s. Since it is a coefficient related with that of the static friction, here we are using a subscript s. So Fs maximum is equal to mu Sn, where mu s is known as coefficient of static friction. Is it clear? Any doubt regarding with this topic up to here, up to static friction? You can ask and clear now itself.
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Yes, which one? The two laws, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So here we are start our class by explaining the laws of static friction. According to first law, limiting static friction independent of the area of contact between two bodies. That is, here we are consider a horizontal surface and an object is placed on the surface of this horizontal, an object of mass m. Okay. So this limiting static friction, that is the maximum value of static friction, is independent. It is not depends on the area of contact between these two bodies. One is the horizontal surface and other is the object which is in a state of rest over the surface of horizontal surface. It is independent of area. The second one, maximum value of static friction. Maximum value of static friction is nothing. We know that it is our limiting friction. It is directly proportional to the reaction force. Maximum value of static friction is directly proportional to reaction force. Okay. According to that, we can say that if you are considering a horizontal surface and object is placed over the surface with a mass m, there are mainly two types of force acting on this case. One is the downward force. It is mainly due to the weight of the object. and other is the upward force, the vertically upward force, and this force is known as reaction force. Reaction force, and this reaction force is normally it is normal to the surface. The direction of the reaction force is normal to the surface. It is represented by the letter N. And we can say if and only if this reaction force N and mg equal and opposite, then only the object is remains in a state of rest. If the mg is exerting is 10 Newton, then this normal force is also 10 Newton. Then only we can say that this object is in a state of rest. Otherwise, it shows a tendency to move. Okay, so limiting static friction is directly proportional to that of the normal force, or the maximum value of static friction is directly proportional to the normal force. Fs maximum is directly proportional to normal force. By this term normal force N, you just kept in mind it is nothing, it is our reaction force, that is the force acting vertically upward direction in order to balance the object. Okay, so Fs maximum is equal to, in order to replace this proportionality sign, here we introduce a proportionality constant, that is what is known as mu s. So Fs maximum is equal to mu s into N, where Fs maximum is the maximum value of static friction, mu s is the constant of proportionality, and it is known as coefficient of static friction, and this term N is represents the normal force, or it is the reaction force which is acting vertically upwards on the surface of an object. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So now that's all about the static friction. Okay, and one more term is there. I think it's not mentioned in your textbook. One more term is there relating with this static friction. That is what is known as angle of repose. Okay, so all of you write the next heading, angle of repose. Angle of repose. Okay, so in order to explain this angle of repose, first of all, we are consider a horizontal surface. This is our horizontal surface, and the object is kept over this horizontal surface. An object with the mass m. Consider a horizontal surface and kept an object with the mass m over this horizontal surface. Then students, what do you think? What about the angle between object and that of the horizontal surface now? What about the angle between this body or the object M and the horizontal surface? It is equal to 0 degree, right? The angle between them is equal to 0 degree. Okay, I demonstrate this with the help of a book. Okay, so all of you please listen here. This is our horizontal surface. I kept a pen over this horizontal surface. So my question is this: what is the angle between them? Angle between pen and this horizontal surface, it is equal to 0, because there is no angle, both of them are in a parallel way. There is no angle between this object and this horizontal surface. So it is initially 0. Now I am just started to incline the horizontal surface. I am going to incline the horizontal surface. So initially the angle between them is equal to 0. So we can say object is in a state of rest. Now I am going to just started to incline the horizontal surface. What happens? Object shows a tendency to move. Again, if I am increases the inclination, the object falls downwards. Is it clear? Initially, object is in a state of rest over the horizontal surface. During this time, the angle between the surface and the object is equal to 0. The next step, we are going to incline the horizontal surface. During this time, object shows a tendency to move. If further inclination or further increase of inclination shows, object started to move from that surface. I hope it is clear, right? Okay, so that particular angle of inclination at which the object shows a tendency to move is known as angle of repose. So initially the angle is equal to 0, but at what particular angle of inclination this object shows a tendency to move downwards, vertically downwards, that particular angle of inclination is known as angle of repose. So all of you write the definition for angle of repose. The specific angle of inclination, the specific angle of inclination at which the object shows a tendency to move. The object shows a tendency to move. That angle of inclination is known as, or this angle of inclination is known as angle of repose. Okay, so initially both the object and that of the horizontal surface are in the same way. There is no angle between them. But whenever we have started to incline the horizontal surface, incline means we kept them in a slanting position. Okay, then what happens? The object shows a tendency to move. That particular angle of inclination of the horizontal surface, that particular angle of inclination of that surface is known as angle of repose. Is it clear what you mean by angle of repose? Okay, so here we are going to check what are the forces acting on the object if we are kept the object over a inclined surface. Okay, so first of all, we are consider a horizontal surface. The horizontal surface is inclined at an angle theta. Okay, suppose if the surface or the horizontal surface is inclined at an angle theta and the object is placed here, an object of mass m kept at an inclined surface. Okay, now what do you think? What are the forces that can be act on this object which is kept over this inclined surface? What are the type of forces act on it? Yes, one is the downward force. The downward force is due to the weight of the object. One is the downward force, a vertical downward force due to the weight of the object. In order to balance this, we know that another force is also acting on it. What is that? Normal force, or normal force we are also known as the reaction force. The reaction force is acting, and the direction of reaction force or this normal force reaction is always normal to the surface of the object. Okay, so here the object is not in a horizontal surface, it is placed over an inclined surface. So from the figure itself, it is very clear that this reaction force and that of the weight of the object, the force due to the weight of the object is not exactly equal and opposite, right? Because the reaction force is always normal to the surface in this direction, and the mg is the force due to the weight of the object that is acting vertically downwards. These two forces are not exactly equal and opposite, because here the surface is not a plane or horizontal, it is an inclined surface. Okay, so here our duty is to, we need to balance these two forces. We need to balance this normal force and that of the force due to the weight of the object. Okay, so for that, we know that this is the normal force. The normal force is acting in this direction, and the angle between them is equal to theta. Okay, so here the weight of the object or the force which is acting vertically downwards, which is inclined at an angle theta. Okay. And here the weight has a magnitude and it has a direction. It's a force, that is force. We know that force is a vector quantity. It possesses a direction. Here it is the downward direction, and the unit of force is Newton, and it is inclined at an angle theta. So we can resolve this into two components. Here we resolve this weight of the object, the force due to weight of the object, resolved into two components. One is a horizontal component and other is the vertical component. So once again, here the object is placed over the inclined surface. The two forces acting on the object is, one is the force due to weight of the object, that is represented by mg, which is acting vertically downwards. Another force is the reaction force, which is normal to the surface. It is represented by the letter N. Since the object is placed on an inclined surface, we can say that this normal force and this weight force due to weight of an object is not equal and opposite. They are not equal and opposite. So we need to balance the object which is kept over this inclined surface. For that, we resolve the force due to weight of the object into two components. We know that force is a vector quantity. So here the downward force is resolved into two components. One is the horizontal component and the other is the vertical component. The vertical component is taken as F cos theta, because the component which is nearer to theta taken should be cos theta component, and the another one is F sin theta. Okay. And we know that if we kept an object over an inclined surface, the object always shows a tendency to move vertically downwards. At the same time, another force is acting on that body. What is that force? That is the basic force of this chapter. What is that?
Friction.
It's a frictional force. And what about the direction of frictional force?
Opposing downward motion.
Opposite to the motion of an object. So here a frictional force is also acting on the object and it is in the opposite direction. Frictional force, F. Okay. So these are our conditions. We are consider an inclined surface. Object is kept over the inclined surface. Two type of forces are first acting on the object. First one is the vertically downward force. It is mainly due to the weight of the object. It is named as mg. Now the second force is the reaction force, which is normal to the surface. It is represented by the letter capital N. Since the object is placed on an inclined surface, we can say that this normal force and the force due to weight of the object are not equal and opposite. So in order to balance this, the force due to weight of an object is resolved into two components, a horizontal component and a vertical component. Horizontal component is named as F sin theta. Vertical component is named as F cos theta. Okay. And we know that another force that is present on the object, since it is placed on an inclined surface, its motion is downwards. At the same time, there is a frictional force is acting on the body in the opposite direction, because friction is an opposing force which opposes the relative motion of an object that acting downwards. Okay, so now from the figure it is clear that we can say that all these forces are now balanced each other. That is normal force. From the figure we can say that normal force N is balanced by which component? Now the normal force exactly opposite to normal force, here we have vertical component of the force, that is F cos theta. So N is equal to F cos theta. They balance each other. Since it is in opposite direction, we can put a negative sign here. So N is equal to minus F cos theta. Similarly, here we have frictional force. Frictional force can be represented by F. Frictional force is balanced by the horizontal component of the downward force, that is F sine theta. This F sine theta is also in the opposite direction, so we can put a negative sign here. So N is equal to minus F cos theta, and frictional force is balanced by the horizontal component of force, that is F is equal to minus F sine theta. So we can put this equation as equation number 1 and equation number 2. Now the next step, divide equation 2 by equation 1. Divide equation 2 by equation 1. So we have, divide the LHS first. F divided by N is equal to the right hand side of the second equation, minus F sine theta divided by minus F cos theta. This negative sign cancel. F and F cancels. What is left? Which implies F by N is equal to sine theta by cos theta. What is sine theta by cos theta? Yeah, it's right. Unmute and say. Sine theta by cos theta?
Theta.
Tan theta. Okay, we know that sine theta by cos theta is tan theta. So our equation becomes, so our equation is in the form F by N is equal to sine theta divided by cos theta. But we know that this sine theta by cos theta is nothing, it is equal to tan theta. Okay, then F by N is equal to tan theta. F by N is equal to tan theta. Where F is the frictional force, what type of frictional force is it? Is static friction or kinetic friction? Object is in a state of rest on the surface of inclined body. Of the object is on the state of rest on a inclined surface. So what do you think, what is the nature of the friction here? Is it static or kinetic? It is static friction. So we can use the subscript Fs here. This is the static friction. Friction due to the object which is rest over the surface of another object. So Fs by N is equal to tan theta. Then again, according to the second law of static friction, we know that Fs is proportional to N, or Fs is equal to mu N or mu Sn. Then what is Fs by N represents? Fs by N. Fs by N is equal to, use the second law of static friction. According to second law of static friction, today we say that the static friction is directly proportional to the reaction force or normal force. Fs is proportional to N. In order to replace the proportionality sign, here we introduce a constant mu. So Fs is equal to mu Sn. Then Fs by N is equal to mu S, the coefficient of static friction. So from the second law, we can say that Fs by N is nothing, it is mu S. So our equation becomes mu S is equal to tan theta. Okay, so this is the relation between angle of inclination, angle of repose, and that of the coefficient of static friction. Tan theta is equal to mu S. What happened to Mary Angelina? Why are you smiling?
Nothing, ma'am.
Okay. So Fs by n is nothing. It is the coefficient of
Ma'am?
static friction. Yes.
Can you show the previous slide?
So here we have kept the object over the inclined surface. The initial force which is acting on the object is the downward force, which is vertically downwards because of the due to the weight of the object, that is mg. Another force acting on the object is reaction force, which is acting normal to the surface. Hence, it is represented by n. Since it is placed on an inclined surface, they are not exactly equal and opposite. In order to balance the object over this inclined surface, we resolve the force due to weight of the object into two components, F sine theta and F cos theta. Another force acting on the object is the static friction, because here the object is in a state of rest over the inclined surface. So the next force acting on this body is frictional force, and it is nothing, it is our static friction, because here the object is in a state of rest. Okay, so from the figure we can say that this reaction force or the normal force is replaced by, or it is not replaced, it is balanced by F cos theta. Since it is in the opposite direction, we get a negative, we give a negative sign. So n is equal to negative F cos theta. And similarly, here the frictional force Fs, it is balanced by the horizontal component due to the force of the weight of the body, that is Fs is equal to minus F sine theta. In the next step, we just divide the equation 2 by equation 1. So the static friction Fs divided by n is equal to minus F sine theta by minus F cos theta. Cancel the common terms. So we get F by L is equal to sine theta by cos theta. From mathematics, we know that sine theta by cos theta is tan theta. So static friction divided by normal force N is equal to tan theta. And from the second law of static friction, Fs by N is mu s. So mu s is equal to tan theta, where mu s is the coefficient of static friction. Is it clear? All right. So once again, we can recall all these topics. After that, we can wind up the session. So starting with the Anagam, what do you mean by static friction?
Force that resists the initiation of motion.
Force that resists the initiation of motion, or it is the force which arises when one object it is in a state of rest over the surface of another object. Okay, then Rahul, what are the two laws of static friction?
Limiting static friction independent of area of contact between two bodies.
Okay.
Then second one, maximum value of static friction is directly proportional to the reaction force.
Reaction force. Okay, Shabari, what about the equation form of the second law of static friction?
Fs max is equal to mu s n.
Mu s n. What do you mean by mu s?
This is the coefficient of static friction.
Coefficient of static friction. Okay, good. Jewel, what do you mean by angle of repose?
It is a specific angle of inclination at which object shows a tendency to move.
Okay.
This angle of known as angle of repose.
Angle of repose. Okay, then Fahis, what is the relation between angle of inclination or this angle of repose and that of the coefficient of static friction? Relation between coefficient of static friction and angle of inclination. Vinayak? Sarah? Equation which gives the relation between coefficient of static friction and that of the angle of inclination.
Yes, sir.
What is the relation between coefficient of static friction and that of the angle of inclination? The last equation.
Fn is equal to tan theta.
Is it Fn equal to tan theta? What is the coefficient of static friction?
Ms.
Not M, mu. mu s.
MV.
Mu s is equal to tan theta. This is the equation which connecting the angle of repose or the angle of inclination with that of the coefficient of static friction. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt regarding with this topic, static friction? In the next class, we are going to discuss the next type of friction, that is kinetic friction. That is I am asking. Any doubt?
No.
No. Okay, so now let me take your attendance.